Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and we have another exciting guest today. But before we get started, I want to invite you to go over to YouTube and like us, subscribe over on Superbrand Publishing. If you're listening to this on iTunes, we actually have the videos over on YouTube, so you can see all of my bright and shiny, the faces of my people that I have on here, as well as mine. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please leave us a review. We'd love to hear what you have to think about the show, but only if it's good. If it's not, go away. And then, you like the way I invite more followers. And then also, don't forget to go over and take our Promote, Profit, Publish quiz at promoteprofitpublishquiz.com and find out if you're ready and if your visibility is in place to be published or even be out in the world yet, because you've got to build an audience before you do anything. So my guest today, this is like the second or third time I've interviewed her. Her name is Laura Posey, and she's an internationally recognized speaker, author, and consultant. She is known as the simple planning specialist for her unique ability to simplify and easily laser focus her clients to get dramatic results. Her simple strategic plan, that's almost a tongue twister, is used by over 2,500 companies, and from startups to Fortune 100, I'm sorry, not 500, Fortune 100. She's the author of How to Plan an Entire Year on One Sheet of Paper and co-author with Jack Canfield of Mastering the Art of Success. She's a graduate of SUNY at Buffalo and holds an MBA from the Virginia Commonwealth University. She's fluent in German and currently working on her Spanish. We'll test your Spanish in a minute. Mine's pretty poor, but I'll just test it. When not on stage or with a client, you can find her traveling the world, playing golf and practicing the fiddle, or snuggling with her rescue mutt George at their home in Richmond, Virginia. And she's actually coming to us from Australia, where she was traveling during COVID-19, and
Yep.
she's been there so long now, she'll be a resident soon, probably. Welcome, Laura.
Thanks for having me.
I
love that bio. I was like, man, that doesn't sound so bad.
Right? Did you write it?
Right?
No. I always say that when people introduce me.
Never write your own bio.
Really?
Never write your own bio. Yeah.
Oh, I wrote mine, and it sounds fun.
Never write your own bio, because we just sort of have this thing where we don't really want to brag about ourselves, and so if you have somebody else write your own bio, they'll say things that you would just never say. So you sound really great.
I agree with that. When I was on my third branding of my company, I mentioned to one of my coaches said, well, so where did you work? How did you get into this? And I started talking, name dropping the companies. And he's like, I don't see that anywhere in your bio. That's important.
Right. Exactly.
So you have this simple startup plan that we've talked about on a couple shows now. Tell us about why you did it, where you go, what's it all about?
Yeah, so it's really about building your business by design instead of just showing up and winging it and putting some stuff together. And it came about because I came out of corporate, like a lot of folks do, and said, you know what, I've had enough of all these people. I want to go do my own thing. And so I started a sales training company. And basically what I did was I built a job with no boss. I just replicated what I knew how to do, which was have a job, get an office, put on a suit, go do some training, make some sales. And it was a nightmare, and I hated it. I had a business partner who was a really great guy, terrible businessman, just terrible. It's funny. I had a dream last night about him, and in my dream, he did the same thing that he always did. He went out and spent money we didn't have on stuff we didn't need. And
it's like a husband. No.
Oh God, it was horrible. But it sucks to go to work every day and be hustling your butt off and having somebody spend your money. And then tell them, hey, where's my paycheck? Guess what, dude? You spent it. And mine too. Anyway, so I built this business that I hated, and it was an absolute nightmare. And so I ran away from home for a couple of weeks. I ran out to Sedona, Arizona, and went hiking, and I had an experience where I got up one day and I went hiking, and I almost died on that hike. I almost fell off the side of a mountain because I missed a turn in the trail and ended up sort of scaling a rock face. And I don't rock climb. And I just got up so high, I didn't know how to get down. And I luckily was able to get out of there, but it shook me. Like you have those moments where something happens and then like, you just have that epiphany. And I went, holy crap, this is exactly what I've done with my business. Like I got up that day to hike. I didn't have a map. I didn't have, I had like a bottle of water, but I thought, well, I know how to hike. I could do this. Right. And so I just went off and I missed a turn in the trail and almost died, and thought, this is exactly what I do with my business. I'm like, oh, I know how to sell. I know how to do sales training. I'll just go do that. Right. And, so I was like, okay, I need a map. I need a plan for like how I'm going to build this business. And I need to figure out what the hell I want to build, because this ain't it. And so I sat down and created this strategy, and I forced myself to put it on a single sheet of paper, because I know me, if it was anything more than that, I wasn't going to use it. Right. Like it had to be something, it had to be a like daily reference. And so it worked really well. I went home and dismantled the business and bought out the business partner and changed everything and turned it around and started building a business that I love, that it satisfies me financially. It gives me the time freedom that I want, but it also satisfies me emotionally. Like I love what I do. I enjoy working. And so I started using it with other clients, because I would ask them, would be going off to do some training with them, and they'd be asking them like, well, what are you trying to build? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Just figured we grow 20% this year. Like, well, why 20? I don't know. Seems like a good number. And I was like, dude, like, time out. Like, let's step back here and decide what it is that you want. And then we can build a really clear path to it. And it was like magic. Like people were getting results that we'd never gotten before. And so I really realized like that was my passion. I love being able to take that overwhelm and that confusion and that frustration and turn it into clarity and focus and confidence, and watch people just, it's like slamming their foot on the gas pedal. It's just like, it's beautiful. I love it.
It's funny. One of my other people I've had on the show, Catherine Bell, is always saying, go by the numbers. The numbers tell you what to do. And she sort of says what you do about the business plans. People do them when they do them, and then they shove them in a drawer.
Right.
So, they don't ever reference back, and probably because it's that big stack of papers, and, they spend a lot of time on it, and it's always just a kind of a guesstimate anyway. So what are we doing these big plans for?
Right. And there's value in the planning process, right? There's value in thinking through all of these things. But if you're not actually going to use the plan, it's the wrong planning process, right? If it's not a tool at the end to get you where you want to go, if it's not an actual blueprint, a map, a step-by-step guide for what you ought to be doing, what's the point? And in my view, like I hate wasting time. I hate investing my time in something that isn't going to pan out. Right now, I'm perfectly happy to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. And people could say that's a waste of time. That's entertainment. Right. I don't consider that an investment. I just get pissed off when, like I take a course or something, or I read a book and there's nothing to do. There's nothing actionable.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of times planning is a thought process and not something that's actionable that you can actually, use every single day.
That is so true. I'm a big audiobook reader, and I usually will read and, listen to a book. And then if I hear there are actionable steps and it's something I'm going to use, I will purchase the soft cover.
Yep.
But there's no sense in me purchasing a bunch of soft covers that are going to sit around the house if I'm not going to do the exercises in them. So I know exactly what you're talking about. when you say that. So you've got this down, but it's not just numbers. It's also more about how you want to spend your time, what you love. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I liken building a business to building a house, right? And you don't just go build a house because you need some basic shelter. If you're going to build a house, you're going to build something that you love. Like people build their dream house. They really think about, how am I going to live in this house? Like, do we want entertaining space? Do we want place for people to come over and stay? Do we want an open floor plan or closed floor plan? Do we want a pool? How many bedrooms? And they really, and they think about the style. How do they feel when they walk into this home? And they have this beautiful picture in their mind of what they want. And I think we don't do that when we go to build a business so often. We just take this skill set that we have and we try to turn it into cash in whatever way we can. And when you step back and actually take a step back behind the business and say, how do I want to live my life? Right? What kind of things do I want to be involved in? How do I want to spend my time? How much money is it going to take for me to have the lifestyle that I want? Like, where do I want to live? Do I want a big house? Do I want 2 houses? Do I want a vacation a lot? What kind of hobbies do I want to invest in? How much time do I want to be able to spend with my family and my friends? Like, really design your life and decide, like, this is what I really want. And then build a business that delivers that. Because it's too easy to build a business that either doesn't deliver the money or doesn't deliver the time. Mm-hmm. Or, and to take it even a step further, doesn't deliver the location freedom. Right? And so you've got to really think through, how do I build a business that serves the life that I want to live? And then once you have that, then the rest of it, the how to build it, becomes a lot easier. It becomes a lot clearer. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times people just don't take that time to step back and go, what do I really want? It's sort of the equivalent of, the going down to Lowe's and saying, hey, I'm just going to buy a bunch of stuff that looks like it's going to go in a house, and I'm going to take it home and start putting it together. And that's kind of how most people build their business. Mm-hmm. Instead of being really intentional about it and working through the process of putting that blueprint in place and really envisioning what they want and drilling it down to the step by step. Because, you think about your dream house is built by a bunch of minimum wage workers, right? And you can build $1 million house with a bunch of minimum wage workers because there's a plan, right? And you don't even have to be there. Somebody else can run it for you. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with a business. If you've got a good plan in place, you can do the work, you can build it yourself, or it makes it really easy to outsource projects and hire people to build it with you.
That is so true. And especially for solopreneurs, because I think you're right. Yeah. We take a skill set we have, and then we just say one day, whether it's because we wanted to or because we lost a job. I hear that a lot. Oh, I lost a job, so now I'm this.
Right. So I built a job.
Yeah. So I built a job of my own, and now I'm not making any money about it with it. Right. But it's really putting down those intentional steps. So 2010, I decided I wanted a business that I could pick up and do from anywhere and travel the world. But it wasn't until 2016, when I had sort of a tragic event happen, that I realized, oh, I built that and I'm not doing anything with it. Like, I'm still right. Yeah. So, but having that intentional and having those deadlines and saying, this is what I'm going to do this year. This is what I'm going to learn to get there. You and I talked about on the last podcast, I think, or the last, when we were live, about how far behind the curve so many people are with online businesses.
Oh, yeah.
And so now I think Tony was one of the people who jumped on and said, do you really think that's true? That's where this plan is so important. If you think you're going to be an online entrepreneur, you've got a heck of a lot of stuff to learn to catch up to the rest of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just talking to some clients earlier today, and they're a bunch of coaches and consultants, and they're used to doing in-person stuff. They're like, oh yeah, I go do workshops and I fly all over the place, and now I'm trying to figure out how to do it virtually. It's like, wow, man, you are way behind, because there's a lot of other people out there that are already doing it and have already figured it out and have been working that way for years. it's and I don't think we're going to go back to as much in-person stuff. We're going to. There's going to be in-person stuff,
Right.
right? I just don't think it's going to be as intense as it has been. Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are getting used to. I mean, I'm talking to my clients and they're saying half of their workforce is asking to stay at home permanently.
Yeah.
The other half is desperate to get back to the office, right? Like they're like, please get me out of this house.
Those are the people
Uh,
with kids.
exactly, especially small kids. They're like, I don't want to homeschool. I just want to get out of this house. I want to put on adult clothes and talk to adult humans, right? But there's a lot of other ones that are like, yeah, man, this work from home thing, I'm in.
Yeah.
Don't make me go back.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of like customer service reps, people like that who are working at home. And it was
Yeah,
actually, it's funny, like funny, not funny, but I was talking to one of them and he said, I have 2 hours a day now that I'm not in the car driving. I don't know what to
right.
do with myself. I'm like, take
Yeah,
a course. What have you been doing with the time? And he's like, I drink and watch TV. I'm like, well, you're going to have to change that.
yes.
Like if this becomes a permanent thing,
Yeah,
you got to do
yeah,
some different things. But I think people are lost in that sense that, oh my gosh, it's great to not be in a car, but what do I
right,
do with that time now? Like I really need a
right,
hobby.
right. And that's where that design, that life design comes into play, right? It's like figure out what makes you happy. And granted, some of the things that are your hobbies are things that you can't do right now,
Right.
right? It's some of that stuff is been put on hold temporarily, but there's a lot of other stuff you can do, and you could learn more about that hobby. Right? It's like, okay, if you can't go play golf, well, learn learn more, or go buy some equipment and go putt in the backyard or chip in the backyard. I chip in my house, and I have a putting green in my house, so I can play whenever. And so it's like create that design. And one of the things we've been saying all year is change your tactics, not your goals.
Mhm.
Right? So if your goal is to shave 10 strokes off your golf score, well, you're not going to go to the driving range to do that because it's closed. So find some new tactics. How can I play golf at home? How can I improve my swing at home? Well, you know what? If you live in an apartment and you feel like you can't even do that because you got kids and dogs and all kinds, you know what? Golf is a mental game. Practice the mental side of golf. Practice the visualization. Right? There's a way to do it.
That's so funny. That golf is my go-to during this break. I've taken a break for years, and now I'm looking for new clubs because I sold mine. I haven't
Nice.
played in like
Yeah.
seven years, 2013. So I
Yeah.
decided over this break, yes, I'm going to take it up again. So that's funny.
Yeah.
You keep referencing golf. I need a new putting green in the house. So
Oh yeah, I go get a putting green. You can get a little set to chip
mhm.
because it's all about the short game, right?
Yep. Although
Um,
mine never was. I was always better at the long game. So
drive for show, putt for dough.
there you go. So yeah, I used to have all those things in the house. I lived at a golf course, so
Yeah.
but I got tired.
Putting is 50% of your score.
I know it is, but you know what?
So practice.
Patience. It's patience, which I have none of. So I have to learn how to do it
So
better.
get some.
I some patience. Can I order it on
Yeah.
Amazon? No.
Yeah.
No, not the putting green, the patience.
I'm telling you, you just like it's a Zen thing, man. I spent a year working on my short game, took 15 strokes off my score.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Are you a type A personality?
No.
I totally am. So for me, I've never found it relaxing because it's, I've got to, I've got to do everything perfect, and damn it, I just hit it rad and nice, so maybe now that I'm older, I don't know if I'm any wiser, but maybe now that I'm older, I'll find it relaxing. I doubt it though. So,
See? Yeah.
so this one pager, tell us about the program. You have a really low cost program, which by the way, you guys, I actually started this program back before COVID-19. And then she and I talked because I felt like my whole game plan changed.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing. She actually told me that's the best time to redo it. So I
Yeah.
want you to keep that in mind when she's talking about it, because I know a lot of us are having to, I hate this word. I'm so sick of this word pivot, but that's what we're having to.
Yeah. Yeah. I read a really great quote the other day that said, pivot is a word Silicon Valley execs use, which really means we were doing shit that wasn't working, so we got to try something else.
Right? That is so, that is so true. And I think I told you at the beginning of the year, I was on a summit, and the guy came to me and he said, we've got really high level entrepreneurs here. I want you to do X instead of Y. And
Yeah.
I was like, but I don't like to do that. And he's like, just do it. And I did it. I sold it and I loved it.
Yeah.
And now that was my pivot when I went to you the
Yeah.
first time, is look, I need to redo it with this now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've taken everything that I do with my clients one-on-one, the things that we do in group, and I've put it into an online course. It takes about 3 hours to get through the whole thing. Because I just don't believe in big, long, 20-hour, let me tell you everything that you could possibly ever want to know about this subject. It's little short videos. It's like, all right, here's 10 minutes. You need to know how to do this thing. Now go do it. And for every single video, there's a worksheet. So you just answer the questions. It's not like, I have to sit down and think of, and it's just answer the questions.
mm-hmm.
And the questions will become the answers that go in the plan. And it starts with the designing the dream life. Then we do what I think is really kind of a cool thing. I haven't seen anybody do this. We do what we call a Lifevision Calculator, right? So it's like, okay, well, this is the life I want. How much is it going to cost, right? So how big does my business have to be? So you can build a business that's bigger than that delivers more money than what you think you're going to need. But, you know, I hear people all the time, I'm like, well, how big a business do you want? They're like, $1 million. Like, why? Like, let's think about what it's going to take to build a 7-figure business, because a lot of people don't want to do what it's going to take. And most people don't need a freaking $1 million business to have the life that they want to have. So we walk you through a Lifevision calculation so you can figure out, well, how much money do I really need to have this life that I want? And then how do I build a business to create that life? And so we walk through, like, what does the business have to look like? What's the vision? What are your targets and goals? What are the activities? What are the weekly things that you're going to have to do to build this business over time? What are the projects that have to happen? And we wrap it all in this really nice, beautiful one-page format. And what we have you do actually is you take your answers from those worksheets and you just put them in this form. And then our system automatically sucks it all in there and puts it in this beautiful one-page format and delivers it right to your inbox. So it's all formatted and pretty and gorgeous.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So it's sort of, that part is done for you. So you don't have to try to put stuff in the boxes and, like, you know, you don't have to figure that part out. We'll just take care of it for you. So we've done as much of the work for you as we can. And then it's really about you taking this system and customizing it for the things that you want in your life, for your personality, for your desires, for your type of business. We've done it with thousands of different kinds of businesses. We haven't found one yet that it doesn't work for.
That's amazing. And for those of you who are saying, I don't have 3 hours, I usually don't have 3 hours. I broke it up into a lesson a day, which was about 10, 15 minutes. And it was easy to get through. So how do we get this auto magically program? I love that word.
Yeah. So it's simplesuccessplans.com/strategic. And I've got a little code in there for you. Straight up on our website, it's $397. I put a little code in there on that page that'll save you 75%, so you can get the entire program for $97.
Oh, wow. And the code is where?
It's on the page.
Okay, it's on the page. I was like, wait a minute.
Yes.
It's on the page?
On the page, yes.
So if you miss it, this may not be the program for
It's
you.
on it's on the page 3 times. If you miss it all 3 times, yeah, I can't.
I deserve, if you miss it all 3 times, she deserves the $397. And it may not take 3 hours. It may take 20 hours. No. Well, Laura, thank you. Thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you taking the time again. I know it's like 6 a.m. where you're at. So I'm surprised your hair's combed.
I've been up since 3:30, so it's all good.
Wow. Wow.
This is my new normal for now.
Okay. Well, we'll see when you get home then. Thank you.
All righty.